Hi everyone. Welcome back to Woo Can Cook. My name is Wesley, and this is a show where we are slowly cooking our way through all of the food from my childhood. Today we're diving back into our series dedicated to the Bay Area restaurant scene with a Korean fried chicken or Nyeom chicken inspired by the one found at OBTown Chicken in Oakland, California. OBTown Chicken, or just OB Chicken for those of us that have been around long enough to predate the rebrand, is one of Oakland's most popular locations to grab some Korean fried chicken, a pint of Hite, and a real late night of drinking with your friends. Its location, while also relatively close to the strip of other Korean barbecue restaurants in the neighborhood, is also right on the border between Oakland and Berkeley, making it a very popular spot for many UC Berkeley students, myself included many years ago. More specifically today, we'll be diving into their Nyeom chicken or gochujang glazed chicken wings. Now, for those unfamiliar, while obviously there are many different forms of Korean fried chicken or KFC, the term is often colloquially used to refer to this very specific and iconic form of bright red, sticky glazed wing. Today we'll be doing ours with a combination of honey, sweet chili sauce, and of course gochujang to achieve our sweet, spicy, savory, and wonderfully messy hot wing. To round this all out, we'll also be pairing our glaze with a super light cornstarch breading, combined with one of my very favorite ingredients in a deep fry, which is a little bit of baking powder to help us get a crispy and puffy wing. Okay, so let's get into it.
Do you feel the world falling around you? Baby, do you ever feel the shadow?
Okay, so kicking things off here first, as with many Woo Can Cook recipes, are my aromatic elements are garlic and ginger. Today, however, our aromatics are actually going to be used in two separate places, both in our breading and in our glaze. So you'll notice that I'm chopping twice the amount that we normally would and dividing it in half. So this is 8 cloves of crushed and minced garlic, followed by 2 inches or about 2 tablespoons of finely minced ginger. We're separating these into 4 separate batches for our Mise En Place, then setting it all aside for a moment while we dive into our wings next. Into my largest mixing bowl is 1 pound or about 20 chicken wings, followed by my first batch of garlic and ginger going in. Then next I'm seasoning this with a pinch of kosher salt and a teaspoon of white pepper, giving it a quick toss and then adding my dry ingredients. Excuse this glaring continuity error, but here is a half cup of cornstarch, a quarter cup of AP flour, and a half teaspoon of baking powder, which I'm tossing to combine for a super thin breading. Now, a quick food science side note here, baking powder is composed of a combination of baking soda and a few other elements that I won't dive into because I'm definitely not a food scientist. What's most important to know though is that the alkaline in our baking soda is going to activate in our fry and cause our breading here to rapidly puff up in the same way that it functions as a leavening agent in cakes, spreads, and other baked goods. The catch, however, is that unactivated alkaline leaves behind a slightly metallic taste, which obviously we don't want, so we want to be very cautious and make sure that we don't overdo it with this baking powder, or else we'll have some very metallic tasting chicken wings. Gross. Moving on to our sauce here next is my glaze. This is 4 tablespoons of soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar to start, followed as promised by 2 tablespoons of Korean chili paste or gochujang. This is where our bright red color and heat is gonna come from today. Gochujang is in itself already quite sticky and glaze-like, but I'm also adding on to this for an even more sticky quality with 2 tablespoons of honey and 2 tablespoons of sweet chili sauce. You might recognize this combination from many of our Chinese fried chicken recipes. Finally, I'm using a fork or whisk to break this all up into a smooth glaze, and then we're heading over to the stove. Over on the stove, I'm heating up 24 ounces of neutral high heat oil in my wok up to 350 degrees F. Then I'm giving my wings a quick tap to dislodge any loose breading before adding it to our fryer. Then next, I'm bringing my fire down to medium heat after about a minute or so. That initial fry on high heat is gonna allow us to get that crispy skin that we're looking for, while also making sure that our chicken cooks all the way through without burning on that slightly lower heat as well. This, by the way, is the reason why I love deep frying in woks, because you wouldn't be able to rapidly change temperatures in your fryer like this if you were using a heavier pot like a Dutch oven. Anyway, I'm frying these up in batches about 7 pieces at a time or so, making sure to reheat our oil back up to 350 degrees F before starting with the next batch. Then back over on our cutting board, we're removing our wings to a dryer rack so that we can keep these nice and crispy while we get to our glaze next. Back over on the stove, I've removed my fryer oil, then I'm reheating my wok as hot as possible, adding 4 tablespoons of peanut oil and, as always, long yao for that nice non-stick surface. Then going in here first are my second batch of aromatics. Here's my garlic and ginger going in for about 15 seconds until nice and fragrant. Then next I'm borrowing from a little bit of Chinese cuisine and tossing in some dried Tianjin peppers. These are totally optional, but they are also going to give our wings some nice fragrant and aromatic heat though, so if you have some on hand, definitely toss them in. I'm giving these a toss for 2 minutes until they're nice and fragrant, and then adding my glaze in next. Now, this might be the most important step of our entire dish today and is also the part where I see a lot of folks mess up. You will notice that our glaze is quite loose and viscous. So before you add your wings to the glaze here, we want this to be fully reduced into a thick and sticky glaze. It should be relatively close to the texture of honey before those wings get into the wok. I kept mine on heat for a solid 5 minutes, which is gonna feel like an eternity in a wok fry like this. But if you add those chicken wings before they're fully reduced, your chicken will start boiling and then you'll have some very mushy fried chicken, which nobody likes. So once our glaze is nice and reduced, I'm dropping in my fried chicken, then killing the heat and giving these a very quick toss for no more than 30 seconds until everything is nice and coated. Finally, I'm finishing this all off with a pinch of sesame seed and we're ready to eat. But first, a quick tip on how to eat chicken wings courtesy of Mr. Jurassic Park himself, Mr. B.D. Wong. I'm holding the 2 bones of our wing on either side and then twisting until the smaller bone dislodges, which should allow it to slide right on out, like so. If you've done this correctly, it should have come out completely clean. Then from here we can go ahead and eat this like a drumstick without any trouble because there's no small nooks and crannies that you'll have to eat around anymore, which is why I think most folks prefer the chicken drumstick over the chicken wing. I know, it's amazing. Alright, so for those of you that have been following this channel for a while, we have definitely done a lot of fried chicken here already, including Taiwanese popcorn chicken, fried chicken sandwiches, and literally every kind of fried chicken stir fry that you can imagine. But I gotta say that this might be one of our best yet. Our glaze is sticky and sweet from our honey, then slightly tangy from that sweet chili sauce, and also punchy with a very slight kick coming from that gochujang. Then our super light cornstarch breading is somehow both incredibly light and not doughy, as is often my issue with fried chicken, but also still super crunchy and crisp thanks to our baking powder. I will admit I was a little bit concerned at first that our wings might come out too thin with a breading that was this thin. I know I normally prefer something egg-based like a tempura batter, but our baking powder really did a lot of work for us today though. This one is also a big nostalgia trip for me and brings me right back to drinking pints of Korean Hite and eating way too many hot wings at OB Chicken with my friends while we probably should have been studying. In the realm of insanely messy chicken wings and finger foods, this one might be my favorite yet. Okay, so that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you give this one a shot. For those of you who are new to the channel, this one is part of a larger series that we've been doing that's dedicated to the Bay Area restaurant scene. So definitely check out that series next if you haven't yet, because there's a lot of these. For the Bay Area locals, OB Chicken is located on 61st and Telegraph in Oakland, California, and is easily some of the best Korean fried chicken in town, so definitely check them out if you haven't yet. Also, if you are here in the Bay, the Woo Can Cook Fried Rice Pop-Up is kicking off our Friday night residency at Federation Brewing in downtown Oakland every Friday, so come by and say hi if you can. More about that at woocancook.com/eats. Finally, for those of you who have been watching for a while, make sure that you are also subscribed and hit the bell as well. Only about 30% of you all who are watching are actually subscribed, which if you're like me, there's a pretty good chance that you don't know that you're not subscribed, but it actually helps us out quite a bit. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, be nice humans, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
And tell me, do you ever feel